Welcome to the Ask Coach Mac podcast, where coaches from around the world get their strength and conditioning questions answered.
What's up, guys? Rob McKeefery here, and welcome to episode number 11 of Ask Coach Mac. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a great question from Allison, but before we get to that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Iron Grip. Iron Grip is the largest provider of commercial free weight equipment worldwide and the only manufacturer with a line of exclusively American-made free weight equipment. Their equipment can be found in over 60 countries in premier fitness facilities around the world and have been a part of 3 facilities that I've put together, including my own garage. To learn more, go to www.irongrip.com, follow them on Twitter at @iron_grip, or call 800-664-4766. All right, here's today's question from Allison.
Hello, my name is Allison Bell. I'm a strength and conditioning intern, and my question to you is, what were some difficulties when dealing with injured players and their training styles, or the methods you would use when they became injured?
Allison, great question. And as you know, as a strength and conditioning coach, part of our job is the performance enhancement side of things. But the other part, and equally important, is the injury prevention and dealing with athletes in return to play situations. And so there's lots of things when you're dealing with an injured athlete that you got to keep in mind. I think the first thing is their mental state. You know, most of these athletes have gone about their business and felt invincible in their careers. Most of them haven't been hurt, or at least seriously hurt. They've had lots of success, and oftentimes have identified themselves with that success or their ability to be able to play and participate in their sport of choice. And so dealing with their mental state when they're injured is the very first thing, in my opinion, that you need to do. And as a person that deals with them each and every day, you might be the one that's most equipped to be able to handle that mental side. Now, we're not psychologists and all those things, and so we have to go. I have to kind of put a disclaimer out there that if there are, going to the next level with things, make sure you seek out a qualified professional. But it all starts with a meeting. Just like when you sit down and you set their goals at the beginning, I think you need to sit down with them and reevaluate their goals and have another meeting as soon as you can to set them up for what's about to happen. And by doing so, you're showing them attention right away. It's easy for them to feel, inferior. It's easy for them to feel maybe a little disappointed or discouraged. And so it's a great opportunity for you to show them attention, reconnect with them on a little bit different level, lay out the plan so that they know what's coming down and what the expectations are. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll up their expectations, by being there more often, or just being a little bit more accountable with their actions. So that way that they know, oftentimes they associate that with caring, and such a big thing. The big thing is you got to keep them connected to the team, and so the instincts oftentimes are to separate them out, maybe so that you can provide a little bit more one-on-one attention, keep them maybe inside, or when athletes are outside or vice versa. And what you're doing is you're perpetuating that, that isolation and that insecurity that they have by not being able to be around their teammates. And so the very first thing we do is we try to keep them as mainstream as possible. We're going to keep them in their lifting groups. We're going to keep them at their racks as much as possible. And if we are forced because of staffing or equipment or whatever, we'll separate them out within the lift group. But they're reporting at the same time. They're leaving at the same time. Oftentimes, they're leaving even after the athletes have left, so that they feel like they've put in a little bit more. And again, trying to build up that confidence. I think the other thing is you have to sit down with the trainers and really come up with a course of action and a plan of attack, so that they're making sure that you're communicating, hand in hand with the sports medicine staff, and everybody is on the same page when talking to the athlete, encouraging them, understand where they're at in the process, not playing one off the other. Oftentimes, they want to put on a false bravado with their strength coach, and they're saying one thing to the strength coach, one thing to the trainer, and being able to have that three-way line of communication always open, everybody's on the same page, supporting each other is a very important step in the process. As for the strength part of things, we're going to keep things, obviously, if depending on the injury, depends on what we're able to do. But, obviously we want to keep single limbs. So if they injure a limb, obviously they got two lower limbs, two upper limbs. They're able to keep training the opposite limb and as well as the upper or lower body. You want to keep them engaged to where they're within that rack. They're stepping up and they're participating in the same order, the same sequencing, and maybe doing an alternative exercise at that time. And we have meetings ahead of time, with the trainer or with your liaison in your strength and conditioning department. In ours, it's Fred Hale, where he'll talk with our staff and make sure that we've made the modifications and we have a plan going into it, so that we know when those alternative exercises are going to be there and we're prepared for it as we go. From a conditioning standpoint, oftentimes what we'll do is we'll try to mimic practice. So if we have a 5-minute period, if they're able to go through that 5-minute period, maybe they're in a non-contact situation and they're able to do individual or something like that, we'll have them do as much as they can, and then when they're out, we'll try to mimic the same work to rest ratios as they would be having on the field. And so that's where making sure that you're participating in practice, you're not just a spectator, that you're figuring out what different periods are, you understand what group periods are and individual periods are and team periods are and what the work rest ratios are and for each and every position and athlete and sport. So that way, when you're in those injury situations, you can mimic that with, we'll do, battle ropes and the same intervals. We'll do obviously sprints and different types of conditioning, bike ergometers or bike airdynes and things along those lines to try to mimic the conditioning standpoint, because we want them to be able to return to play as fast as they can, and we sell them on the conditioning aspect of that. And so, again, just to summarize, I think you gotta sit down with the athlete. You got to get a hold of their mental state, know where they're at, get them on board, get them excited about the process, and keep them motivated throughout. You got to keep them as mainstream as you can with the strength program and the conditioning program, and you got to have that open line of communication with everybody involved and keep everybody on the same page throughout the process. So, Allison, I hope that answers your question. Would love to hear what everyone else thinks. Use the hashtag AskCoachMac11 to continue the discussion over on Twitter. I want to encourage everyone else that if you have a question that you would like to potentially be featured on the show, head over to www.askcoachmac.com. There you can leave your question by hitting the record button at the bottom of the page. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And here's a quote to finish off the day by Bethany Hamilton. She was a surfer that was attacked by a shark. She says, "I've learned life is a lot like surfing. When you get caught in the impact zone, you need to get right back up because you never know what's over the next wave. And if you have faith, anything is possible, anything at all." Take care, guys. I will see you in the next episode of Ask Coach Mac. Bye for now.